Live from the Vegas Video Network studios, just steps from the Las Vegas Strip, it's Top of the Food Chain. And now your host, he's 1 part Mohawk, 2 parts attitude, and a touch of what the It's Al Mancini.
A little delayed, but it came through in the end. Thank you, people. Thank you very much. It's nice to have so many wonderful people here. And welcome to you all out there in Webland. My name is Al Mancini. I'm the host of Top of the Food Chain. I'm the man whose lifestyle is so decadent that many Vegas odds makers believe that I am more likely to implode than the Harmon Tower. And it's a good day here in Las Vegas. It's a good day at Top of the Food Chain. We have a new sponsor for the show. This is really exciting. My good friends at Bread and Butter, and Chris Herron was here last week, the incredible chef over there at Bread and Butter. You know, it's great being here at Vegas Video Network because they don't pressure you to get sponsors that you don't believe in. This came about because I had written a great review in Las Vegas City Life about Chris, and after that happened, we had him down here to do some stuff, and bada bing, bada boom, we're in business together, and it's great to have him sponsoring it. Bread and Butter, an incredible place. I mean, not only do I like it, but my arch nemesis is John Curtis and Max Jacobson have written great things about it. When you get the three of us to agree, you know, it's wonderful. Great breads, great pastries, and also really good sandwiches. And that's what I'm going to talk about real quickly this week. I recommend the pastrami sandwich over there. They get their pastrami made right here in town by Ben's Barbecue. It is some of the best pastrami I've ever had. Top secret tip, it's not on the menu, but if you want it, ask for it on the pretzel bread. They've also been delivering some pastries to the guys here in the studio. You're liking them, right, guys?
They delivered caramel corn for our show a couple days ago, and it was amazing.
So there you go, our new sponsor, Bread and Butter. Guys, welcome aboard. And you can check them out at Bread and Butter LV, right? It's breadandbutterlv.com. Yeah. Thank you very much, and thanks, Chris, and all the guys at Bread and Butter, man. Glad to have you as part of the Vegas Video Network team. And speaking of that team, God, it gets bigger every week. Scott just keeps putting out more and more shows, and they keep getting better and better. Except me, I keep getting worse and worse, but he keeps me around. Don't know why, but you should really seriously check out all our shows. We've got things about sports betting. We've got things about shows. We have a show about golf. We have a show about drinking, which near and dear to my heart. Scott's own show. Living in Las Vegas. A lot of stuff going on. It's all, you find it all at vegasvideonetwork.com, and you can find the archives right there, or you can go to YouTube. We're a partner with YouTube. We're on Roku. You can find us, of course, at iTunes, download audio and video versions. And every week, Friday night at 1400 a.m., KSHP, they just string us all together and play it. And you can just sit in your car and listen to your AM radio all Friday night long. It's a really sad way to spend a whole Friday night in Las Vegas, but if that's what you dig, you should do it. I mean, I recommend listening to it. I'm just hoping you have something to do in between shows. Anyway, if you have questions for future shows, email them to us now, food@vegasvideonetwork.com. If you're watching us live, which is the best way to watch, get in the chat room. Just tap, tap, tappity, tap, 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 and there you are, and you can speak to us about anything you would like to know. If you're listening on the radio and you want to phone in a question for a future show, the number is 866-966-4599. I think that's about everything that we needed to plug right now. Scott, how have you been, my brother?
Awesome. Did you get the press release? You did. You got the press release, and you actually talked about it on your Facebook page. We just hit, in the last 75 days, broadcast day, we did 1 million viewer minutes, 75 broadcast days. Pretty excited about that.
And that's live streaming stuff, right?
Live streaming only. It doesn't include the video on demand, doesn't include the audio on demand, just live streaming like we're doing right now.
So 1 million minutes, I don't know how many years that is or days, but
I think it's about 10,000.
Right, 10,000 billion years.
I think so.
Yeah, but that's a lot of streaming, and that doesn't, those of you who aren't watching live and who aren't not streaming it right now, that doesn't even include you. So imagine what would happen if we counted you people.
So we've been busy, and you, what have you been doing this week, man?
Oh, man, I'm telling you, you know, Scott, I thought when I got out of the rock and roll biz, which I used to sort of be in, hanging out with rock stars all the time, I thought, Oh my God! Thank God I'm not gonna, I'm not exposed to all of that insanity and depravity all the time. I'm not gonna end up looking like Keith Richards. Now I realize that being in the food business full time, I'm sadly maybe gonna end up looking like John Curtis. I don't know. I don't know which is worse, really. No, it's been crazy. I mean, you always ask how many times can you go out in a week, and it's I'm looking at like a 6 or 7 day period where I've already been to 2 bourbon pairing dinners, great bourbon pairing dinners. I need at least 2 trips to pizza places for one article that I'm working on, 2 meals there, and 2 steakhouse, like full, all out, all blown out steak things. I just don't know how anything is getting through my arteries right now. I'm expecting just a big, if during this show a big just vein bursts in my neck, we will know why, man.
That'll be, you know what? We'll get a lot of streaming action for that.
That's right.
Do it.
Yeah, I'll be dead, but at my eulogy, Scott will be like, "Thank you for the minutes."
That's right.
Al, we love you, man. You brought us the minutes, and that's all that matters.
Thank you for, that's a T-shirt. Thank you for the minutes, baby.
Right.
Thank you for the minutes.
But no, it's been a crazy week. I discovered a place. I'm not sure if you know about it. I blogged a little bit about this. The Range Steakhouse. Have you ever heard of it?
I have not.
It's in Harrah's, and when people say to me Harrah's, I don't generally think, oh, great food. I mean, Kerry Simon's got a good has a great burger joint, I should say, over there. And if you're into country, there's Toby Keith. That's about it. But there's this steakhouse. It's hidden on the 2nd floor. You have to take an elevator up. And I went up there. I knew the manager from Bradley Ogden. It's this massive room. 2nd floor. It wraps around. View of the Strip, floor to ceiling. I hear they do 600 covers a night on a typical night. It's just this thing that I've never heard of. I mean, admittedly, I'm not a steakhouse fan, so that was weird. I know you're always looking for obscure little places. It's not obscure among tourists, I guess, but among locals, nobody really knows it's there. Great view.
Did you eat there?
I did eat there.
What did you have?
I mean, I had some steak. In a lot of ways, steak is steak, but they have a chef who is Hawaiian-born, so he puts some nice little twists on it that are pretty interesting. I also had the best onion soup I've ever had in my life. It's made with 5 different kinds of onions. It's actually served in a hollowed-out onion. You know how sometimes people serve soup in like a hollowed-out bread bowl?
Yep.
This is a hollowed-out onion bowl, and that alone is worth visiting the joint.
I was going to ask if it had a view. Shannon says it's got a good view of the volcano.
No, does it? Maybe if you're on the other side. My view was exactly of the entrance to the Forum Shops. But it was cool.
Okay.
And, but it's right across from Caesars. So
Were they trying to hide you? No.
Probably. That most people do try to hide me, so that might have been. No, I'm sure if you were on this side that was facing south rather than the side that was facing the Strip, it would have a great view of the volcano.
How much was the steak?
I do not know. I did not pay for my steak.
Oh, it's so good to be.
I was there as a guest of the wonderful people of Caesars, and
Hey, who do I got to know to start getting some of that action?
You know what? You start talking about their stuff on your show, you never know. Come out to some of these parties with me. I'll introduce you. I brought you to Guy Savoy. I introduced you to the movers and the shakers.
By the way, Jackie dined at a restaurant, Guy Savoy, and she said it was amazing.
Yeah,
Loved it.
It's an absolutely fantastic restaurant, and again, they were kind enough to host my book release party, so we love them. One other thing I want to mention about what I've been doing this week, because it's close to my heart. 3 Square, they do a lot of work to alleviate hunger here in the Valley, and incredible organization. My friends at David Mahoney at KXTE Radio, they're the morning show. They've shown a lot of love to this show, by the way, Scott, so we should love them. They've let me go on and plug this show, so that's cool.
That's nice.
They're out there in the parking lot of a Walmart on Rainbow and 215 for 3 straight days. Mahoney, who just got off suspension, decided he's not going to leave for 3 straight days. He's not going to sleep. I'm interested to see what he looks like tomorrow night. But they're out there raising money for 3 Square with the UFC. It's a huge experience going on up there. They have you can punching bags, all this. And I was there today, and this is one of the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm supposed to know who his name is because I grew up in Philly, but I forget off the top of my head. Shane what? Victorino, thank you. And that's David Mahoney, of course, and their lovely news girl. But they're up there. They're raising a lot of money. You can go up to a lot of fun things. It's 3 Square. Every buck you donate to 3 Square buys 3 meals, and they've got a corporate sponsor for this week, for this event, that's matching it. So it means if you put $5 down, that's going to be 30 meals for hungry people. So again, that's at the Walmart over at Rainbow and 215. I wanted to make sure people knew about that one. So that is pretty much what I've been doing this week. Scott, we have to start talking eggnog. And we're going to do that right after this.
Traditional media believes that after about 3 minutes, you'll tune out. Most Vegas media companies think if it doesn't jiggle, you won't tune in. At the Vegas Video Network, we think both are wrong. The Vegas Video Network is the first and only live online broadcast network that specializes in insider news and expert views about Vegas. We combine great storytelling with the ability to watch when and where you want on your computer, mobile device, or television. Discover the real Las Vegas. Visit VegasVideoNetwork.com.
And we are back at Top of the Food Chain. I am Al Mancini here on the Vegas Video Network. And we're talking eggnog today, and I had to reach out for an expert on eggnog. Not that easy always to find, but I got Matt Myers. Matt Meyer or Myers? Sorry.
Myers,
okay.
like the dark rum.
Okay, there you go. I'll remember that. David Myers always confuses me there too.
Michael Myers.
There's
both the Canadian and the killer.
Right. Kind of and the killer. Yeah. The Canadian and the Killer. It sounds like a good TV show there.
Novel.
Yeah, or a good action series. You know, they could fight crime together. Okay, enough of that. Mike, you're over at Matt. Wow, see, you got me talking about Michael Myers. Matt is at Bellagio, the director of beverages at Bellagio, also a master mixologist.
I don't know if I really take the claim to fame of being a master. I'm just simply mixologist is good to me. I think.
Do you have a little pin?
Titles are one of those things that seems really, obscure to me. I'm not into titles.
Mixologist is a title, though. To many people, you're just a bartender, right?
Well, my job is a little more than that. I have all the different bars, restaurants, a whole beverage department to run. So it's.
No, I didn't actually mean the corporate portion of it, but I meant mixologist versus bartender. And a mixologist is the one who actually invents the drinks, and a bartender pours the drinks, right?
That is true.
So if you want to impress your local bartender and you call them a mixologist, if they haven't invented a drink, then you're just blowing smoke.
But generally, if you're tipping well, that kind of does the same thing for the most part.
Right. Much more
good
important than the title, right?
Kind of makes them feel good as well.
Cool. Well, we're here to talk about eggnog, and we're going to get into the history of it. But before we do, because I want to get this off the table, given the quality that you brought, I went to the grocery store today, and this is what most people think when they think eggnog.
That is true.
Right?
That is
and
true.
This is what you're going to bring home.
Is that Anderson's?
This is Mountain Dairy. And if we say anything negative about you, Mountain Dairy people, it's not because we're disparaging you. It's the general packaged product that we're disparaging.
Made from mountain cows, of course.
Right. And yes, then they have to walk all the way up the hill to graze.
It's very difficult to milk them on it.
Yeah. Well, it's not hard to milk them. It's hard to catch it because you have to hold the bowl, the bucket, kind of like that.
I imagine it's probably very strenuous work. Yeah.
Yes. So this is what I get. Now, is this eggnog really?
By all definitions, with the USDA, yes. However, it is a really far-fetched view of what we really consider eggnog.
And really, we don't want the USDA deciding what's eggnog, do we? I mean, they should decide what will kill us, but not really what is good.
I think during the Reagan administration, they did label ketchup as a vegetable.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So that, might
So
be
this is to eggnog what ketchup is to vegetables?
Yeah, it's...
I mean, I look at this and, it's pasteurized homogenized milk. Well, thank God it starts with milk and then cream. But then we've got, of course, high fructose corn syrup, which you can't be an American without that. And then sugar, just in case you didn't get enough from your high fructose corn syrup. And then an egg base. And what I hear is, and then we've got triglycerides and things like that. What I hear is there's really only about 1% egg in something like this.
That is true.
Okay. So you suck. But I do have a question before we get rid of this bad eggnog. If somebody does have this at home, I mean, seriously, it's fun at parties, like many things.
It does its job. It's utilitarian. We're going to make eggnog from scratch. Not everyone has the time to do that. It does fill the void of the ubiquitous, creamy, nutmeggy drink that we all enjoy. Right. So it does have its place.
Okay, here's my question. I was going to go over to the bar over there, but we don't. Well, we got 5 cameras, but none on the bar. Scott, you need a bar cam in this place.
It's a great bar.
I don't need people to know how much alcohol we have.
Wow.
It's an amazing bar they have here. But it looks like it's typical, but a lot of it's been pretty well consumed because everyone on this Network drinks. But that kind of
bless.
reminds me of like a parents or suburban persons who only drinks at the holidays. Like that's what they may have when they pull out. There's a little bit of everything. What if you're buying this? What can you put into eggnog? Because it seems everybody puts different things in, and we'll talk about the history in a little bit. But what if I'm just reaching under the cabinet and I go, vodka, gin, bourbon, rum? I mean, what can I put in? Eggnog?
So when I find in most people's liquor cabinets or what they might have, really, I would just go right for the white rums, the Bacardis. Go for something that has a good amount of alcohol, but a little residual sugar. If you grab the peppermint schnapps, it's not going to work so well. even like your basic vodka, not going to work so well. Rum classically will always go well with eggnog. There's other things that will go great with eggnog, brandies, whiskeys, bourbons, but you want to be specific on what you're using to make the eggnog. Think of it like a pairing. You don't want to just throw any spirit in there, but for the run-of-the-mill eggnog, classically rum is always going to work very well.
I've always enjoyed bourbon.
I love bourbon.
It's funny that vodka doesn't work because isn't vodka sort of the universal additive to any? Isn't it supposed to work with everything?
No, you're right. Vodka is defined as the neutral grain spirit that's colorless and odorless by the United States degree, but really it doesn't add any flavor. If you're going something really cheap like Mr. Boston's in that big plastic jug, it's just going to be gross, and it's not going to be good. You're not going to enjoy it.
Okay. One other quick question. What are we getting when we get something like this? Because at home, I remember you'd make an eggnog punch, and then you'd throw a couple scoops of eggnog ice cream into it. Does this bring anything to the party?
Well,
and again, nothing against Anderson. That cow looks really cute there, flying over the star. I don't mean to be mean to Mr. Cow, but
Anderson is a little bit further quality than the Mountain Dairy that we had previously. Generally, when they're doing an eggnog ice cream, it's very similar to the eggnog recipe that we're going to make, but there is definitely its fill of starches and things that really don't belong in ice cream. So I would recommend going au naturel the same way that we're going to, but some people may not have access to some things like
liquid nitrogen.
Liquid nitrogen is.
I
didn't want to say that first. I didn't want to say that first, obviously. I always carry liquid nitrogen at home, just in case.
No, but you don't need liquid nitrogen to make ice cream. I mean, I remember as a kid we had an ice cream making machine. I'm sure you could still get that at Sharper Image or some rich people store somewhere.
A little rock salt and some ice. The old school method of making ice cream still works very well. And you could take the same basic recipe and do it that way as well.
Okay, so we want to talk about the history, but you're going to make up some eggnog for us. So my question is, do we start you making the eggnog and give the recipe, and then while you're doing the process, do we talk history, or do we get the history out of the way first?
I think we talk history and make it at the same time.
Okay.
That way we kind of have a few different things going on at the same time. Are you guys okay with that? I'm okay with that. All right, thank you.
Okay, so let's start with the recipe. Scott, could you put up just what the basic ingredients are there, if you don't mind? There you go. So we got egg yolks, we got sugar, we've got whole milk, heavy cream, Cruzan single barrel rum. We have freshly grated nutmeg. Grate your nutmeg, people, if you're going to start this thing. Then we have cardamom pods, because a lot of people have those lying around. But you can get those at a Whole Foods or any good food store. And some freshly grated cinnamon. So this is what we're going to start with. I'm not going to put up the entire recipe as to how to do it, because Matt is going to show you how to do it, and in between we're going to talk a little bit about history.
Exactly. So generally when I start my preparation of eggnog, you always want to toast your aromatics. If you're using pre-grated cinnamon, nutmeg, think about how long that's been sitting in the packaging. It can actually be kind of gross and really loses its flavoring. So I have some cardamom here.
Can you sort of maybe turn that up so people could just see what's going on?
So our friends in TV.
Oh, yeah, of course, it all falls down the bottom.
It kind of falls down the right. So we've been toasting our cardamom pods.
Gravity, the same as the cows on the hill.
There's really a nice smell coming up from here. And then also I have a little bit of pre-grated cinnamon and nutmeg. Hopefully I can get the camera. And I'm going to sprinkle that in my pot. And I
hate when people sprinkle nutmeg in my pot.
You got to be careful.
It happened in college all the time.
And when your dog eats it, it's awful.
You'd buy the bag, and it was all nutmeg. It was.
And for those of you who haven't grated nutmeg before, there's these little microplane zesters. They work really nice. I really enjoy them for grating nutmeg. I already pre-grated some in there. And I'm just kind of, Al, I'm not sure if you can start smelling that now. You can kind of see a little bit of a smoke rising from that. That's quite all right. We're not going to set the studio on fire.
Smelling good.
I swear. Hopefully you're well insured.
Smelling like Christmas.
All right. So I have about a quart of whole milk.
And just so I could ask, if people are doing this at home, what temperature do they have this set on a normal stove?
Well, right now, this would be a low flame. I'm using an induction burner, obviously, because I don't want to set the place on fire. If you're going to, you really don't have any kind of specific temperature when you're at a regular home kitchen. So
but
just
low
flame is good enough. I just added a pint of heavy cream, and I'm going to turn up to about a medium high heat to start getting that heated up. Essentially what we want to do is we want to get it up boiling just to get it up to temperature. Then I also have here our half cup of sugar. I don't know if you can see that. And then 8 egg yolks. So these are fresh egg yolks. Thank you, Alfred. I appreciate the help.
We want to talk a bit about that because a lot of things I'll read online says do not use fresh egg yolks, so you're going to get salmonella and you will die. And that's kind of sort of the same as when they warn you not to eat raw oysters, right? I mean, it's not 100% safe, but guys like me and you that love good food and love drinks, we're not afraid of it, right?
That's very much true. I mean, there's still people out there who are afraid of pork. And nobody's got listeria since the 1800s. So for some reason, we're still worrying about how our and egg is cooked. But for the most part, nobody really gets sick of these things
But we will tell you, if you're at home, we'll give them the warning so they don't sue Scott or me, is that, there is, according to the U.S. government, a risk of salmonella. And, of course, you can get pasteurized eggs, right?
Yeah, you can use pasteurized eggs. I use whole for this case. And they have their place for large quality, for large scale food production.
I'm just talking about the fraidy cats out there that are afraid of raw eggs. Like that would be the way that they can go. But we, of course, are real men, and we eat real food.
We're gonna eat real food made from actual chickens, or
yes.
Hopefully that's where eggs come from nowadays. I don't know. Sometimes
there's plenty of other good animals that lay good eggs.
Lizards, maybe.
I've never had lizard eggs.
So. This is an old recipe, Al, I wanted to make for you. I'm from the Northeast originally, so eggnog is really quite popular there. And some of what I know about what people use as spirits comes from hearsay. You'll find that when you're finding out about whiskeys, bourbons, tequilas, is everything is about storytelling, but not so much about fact. So just a disclaimer for those of you out there in television land, if I'm not 100%
like everything with drinking.
Honest, it's all really about the story,
right.
And
everything down to the girl you picked up in the bar, really. It's way better about the story than what really happened. It's
about how it was
right?
told.
Yes.
When eggnog was consumed, there's a really strong history between eggnog and the flip. The flip we more think of as far as cocktailing culture, and a flip is a drink that uses egg yolks in it. And it was referred to when the drink was flipped between 2 different containers because they didn't have a tin and shake it conventionally how we did. They mixed using 2 different mixing containers. So they'd flip the egg back and forth.
That's not that I did that in college many times. I mean, that's not. You, of course, are a master mixologist. I was just a college drunk, and we would flip things back and forth between 2 cups all the time. So not that unusual for me.
Okay. Well, at the time, that's how they did a lot of mixing. And the original drink of the eggnog was something that was consumed by the aristocracy, those who had money to drink eggs and milk. You're talking a very small percentage of people who could really afford to not just have those things, but let alone consume them with alcohol.
And we're talking in England at this point, when
correct.
this was medieval times.
Medieval times, the late Renaissance era. Then we see the evolution when it comes to the United States. The early colonists very quickly were cut off with the supply of cognacs and brandies, because the British, the French didn't necessarily get along. They weren't kissing cousins at the time. They're very close, not the best friends. So there was a really high taxation on what they had. So they still liked this drink. The new colonies got the taste for it, but they didn't really know how to go about using it. So they went ahead and went with rum. Rum was everly plentiful.
At the same time, they couldn't get the cognacs and brandies, but they had an easier time getting the milk and eggs than the people in England did, right?
For the most part, as soon as the colonies got started here in the United States, I mean, not to say they didn't have their difficult times, but they had a lot more fertile land here in the United States and place for cows to range than England, for the most part.
So the English had the booze that they
wanted, but not
the other stuff, and then the Americans had the everything else, but they didn't have the booze. But they said, "Hey, we got some rum.
Let's make it happen.
Let's do it."
So they went with rum, and rum was very popular for quite a long time. If you look at a lot of old-time rum production, it was made in the Northeast. In New England was actually quite a bit of rum production at that point in time. And eventually, during the Revolutionary War, we all think of George Washington. The Revolutionary War was started by the excise tax. The excise tax was taxing what? The production of whiskey.
Right.
So that production of whiskey made people move around, and a lot of people in the United States moved west as far as they could to get away from that tax.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I just wanted you to bring us up to date on exactly where we are with this recipe, and then I also have a question about where the name came from.
Okay.
But let's just move. Let's just let people know where we're going with this right now.
So we've been stirring the eggnog to get it up to a quick boil. It's just a low boil now. I'm not going to turn the pan because otherwise I'm going to burn Al Mancini. That would not be good on television.
Right in places I don't want to burn.
Right in places he doesn't want to be burned. I'm going to temper the hot cream and milk into our eggs. And this is the same process that we use if you were making ice cream batter, if you were making any kind of quiche is very similar.
So you bring the hot into the room temperature, or
Correct.
into the cold, or that's room temperature, I suppose, with the eggs, and you just, rather than adding the room temperature top all at once into the hot stuff, you little at a time you bring the hot into here.
Correct. So,
and as you're doing that, quick question: where's the word eggnog come from? Because I've heard about 3 or 4 good explanations.
So when I was taught the example of the nog was when they're doing the flipping action, because they referred to their cup as a nog, and they were nogging the mixture.
I've heard that too, that a wooden cup was a nog, and they'd put an egg substance in a nog, was an eggnog or something. I also heard that egg and grog was a colonial term, that grog almost referred to rum, and that so egg and grog, and then then they got drunk and they just slurred, I guess, and then it became eggnog.
After you drink enough, I'm sure you do.
Egg and grog, and I get an egg and grog.
All those are great viable options, as I mentioned before, with the liquor industry and just how we take history. It seems like we're really based on stories and not necessarily on truths.
Okay. So about how long does this whole process take, just out of curiosity, so people can plan at home and know what's going on with
So this is about a 10-15 minute process. Right now, we just we tempered the eggs.
And that's after you have all your preparations done and you've gotten all your ingredients.
And for the most part now, all I need to do is just the seasoning. It's good. I think I'm going to add a little bit more sugar, just to give it a dash.
And the fun thing you're going to see here, and I was just writing about this in another article, is a professional chef or a professional mixologist always comes out with about this many spoons, because they actually are very sanitary people, and every time you taste something, you have to throw the spoon away. Right. I was sitting in a kitchen the other day and couldn't believe how many of these little plastic spoons they go through. Well, but that's good. You should be happy about that.
Yeah, it's... with the production of what we have to do, generally we do it that way as much as possible. So right now we've got it to the thickness that we want to get it to. I'm going to do a quick strain to get some of these lovely little cardamom pods out, because you don't want those in your drink. Now, the cardamom isn't generally something that is in every eggnog, and you can see it's starting to thicken up really nice. So I move that to the side, and now I'm going to...
Okay, so we take the hot stuff, we put it in a big silver pan.
And I'm doing this to cool it down. So now we have to decide what kind of spirit is it that you prefer.
Oh, you're telling me rum, so let's do rum.
I'm thinking we should go with rum. So we're going to go with the Crucian Single Barrel. The Crucian Single Barrel is an estate-produced rum.
But again, you also said white rums work quite well.
White rums work quite well. So this, I actually made a double batch. I did 3 ounces for the recipe, so we're going to add 6 ounces of rum.
You can add 12 ounces for this crew. It really, but we'll go with you. We'll go with the way that we can all drive home.
That is important.
How high an alcohol content is a good eggnog? How's it compare to, say, a typical mixed drink? Higher or lower?
That's a good question. It generally should be lower. You don't really want to kill somebody with eggnog. Generally, when you have a high mixture of alcohol with fats, it doesn't always settle so well, so you want to be careful of that as well. Genius.
I'm smelling alcohol, and that's making me happy.
So this is an induction burner, so it will not...
it's not going to shatter your nice
my
glasses there?
Yeah.
And you don't generally serve it warm. You would wait, in
no,
normal world, you would put it back into the fridge?
I would cool it down really quick. I just want to make sure to get you one, because we're also going to cool it down. But
and it has been a while since I've had a drink. And you do understand the rules of this show. The host must drink within every so many minutes.
So we're going to bring it up for you. I have a little allspice dram.
Because a lot of people have that sitting around their house. I would end up smelling like allspice, because I think that was
Let me know what you think
for the holiday. It's very hot, but it's delicious. And again, you know that vein artery that I was clogging this week? I think that thing is now. So how many grams of fat and how many calories in one of these bad boys?
In one of those bad boys, we're probably looking at least 300 calories.
Oh, yes, just what I need, man. So now explain what we're doing now, because this is like your big super finale. Now,
Alfred, I'm going to need some more. Can you grab the thing? Okay. We're going to do a little liquid nitrogen, and with our, here, just go ahead and bring it over here, huh?
That's the problem with the nitrogen. It turns into nitrogen if you let it sit around too far.
Yeah.
Too long.
My liquid nitrogen evaporated, so I'm going to stir some liquid nitrogen into it.
And this is how many, like minus 200 degrees or so?
Sorry, Al, I didn't mean to scare you.
Nitrogen. Yum.
Just like Mom used to make, huh?
And you can pick a bottle of this up at your local...
my friends at Nitrogen Service here in Las Vegas gave this one to me.
Okay. You got some nitrous oxide you could give us, too, to make it even more fun? Oh, that's the way to get the host off the show. Just cover me in. Scott's going to be using that for all his hosts now. Just cover them in... No, and the beauty of this, I mean, if you haven't seen people cook with liquid nitrogen before, it's about negative 212, I think, but I could be wrong, degrees for it to be liquid. And as soon as you pour it in, it of course wants to turn into nitrogen. And in that, it gives off all its cold, and you can turn something that is a hot liquid into a frozen ice cream within a matter of, well, how long are we doing it? You do have to keep...
be really about 2 minutes or so. I just don't want to.
You have to keep stirring. And the beautiful part about using liquid nitrogen to freeze anything, whether it's a beverage, which my friends over at Fleur by Bear Keller use it for that, is that normally if you do a frozen drink, you use ice, and then when you run it through, the ice waters it down. But the nitrogen doesn't water it down. I'm making a point here, people.
Focus on Al. Focus on Al. Come on.
But truthfully, the nitrogen does not water it down, and it allows you to freeze it, unlike if you were to just put it through a Slurpee machine or a typical... Oh, now you just froze the entire studio.
Yeah. Good thing you're insured, huh?
Hey, you've got to love liquid nitrogen, but seriously, if you were to pour that on your finger, would you have a finger?
No, I probably wouldn't have much of a finger left.
Just to be able to crack it off
I'm
on the end of the
imagining
table?
that scene in Terminator 2 where, you know,
Yeah.
it's starting to... So this was really hot to start off with, so it is almost like an iced slushy at this point. I'm going to make it a little cooler, and then it's going to be ready to serve.
Have you ever done Hamlet?
Actually, a skull would be very fitting right now.
The witches, double, toil and trouble or something like that. I don't know. I did go to one class in high school. I remember something about that. Ooh, there it's getting nice and slushy-like. And if you were to do this long enough at home with your household supply of liquid nitrogen, you pretty much end up with a wonderful ice cream that's way better than that thing with the cow jumping over the moon that we had here earlier. So, do you do this in the Bellagio?
For
Just out of
special events,
curiosity?
special occasions.
Yeah. It's not out with the water show.
No,
you pour some of
no.
this into the water show, that would just be badass.
You see some of the little droplets on top kind of sit there.
The nitrogen
And
droplets?
yeah, I'm going to make sure not to serve those to you because that would
Okay.
be bad.
Yeah, I don't want to. Well, nitrogen wouldn't kill me. It would just freeze my tongue, right?
Yeah, it would just freeze your tongue. You'd be
And
fine.
Scott would appreciate that because he thinks I speak too much very frequently. So this is almost an ice cream that we have here. It's halfway between a cold eggnog and an ice cream.
Correct.
Okay. Nice consistency. Look, sort of like when you leave the Ben & Jerry's in the car a little too long when you're coming home from the supermarket because you.
We're going to bring it a little thicker,
you
but
stop
we
at
don't want
the-
to run out of time either.
This is what happens when you buy the ice cream and you stop at the bar to play video poker and have a quick shot. This is what the ice cream texture is like. That's excellent, man.
It's light. It's not overly sweet. Gives a really cool.
And you got a nice milk mustache. There you go.
Really cool.
And you got to explain to people why you have a milk mustache. That's going on the website. Oh, sure. And just put, what were these two doing? I'm sorry. I'm looking at Scott, not the camera. That's not right. But no, this is great. This is excellent. And this is going to have about the same bajillion calories.
Yeah, about a
And tons
bajillion
of fat.
calories. This is not good for any kind of holiday diet at all. I like a little bit of cardamom on the end. I don't know if you get that in the finish of it, because generally there isn't a whole lot of anything other than nutmeg in eggnog. But this, I really like that cardamom finish. It kind of makes me think of that. The dessert where they have the rice pudding that has a lot of very rich in cardamom. So it's kind of same ideas.
Cool. Anyway, Matt Myers, you can get his eggnog at special occasions at the Bellagio. You can get all of your beverages, though. I mean, you've got a great beverage program at the Bellagio. A lot of great mixologists working within that resort. So I always have a good time. Plus, I like to go to the the Fontana Bar where you can watch the fountains and drink some
Well,
good.
that's High Lounge nowadays.
Oh, they changed it.
High Lounge open
Oh,
New
that
Year's
is
Eve.
High Lounge. That's right. Damn it. The
check out
hipsters
that.
have taken over.
They have. They moved in from LA and they're here to stay.
Damn you,
so.
hipsters. And I damn you because I am not on your list. You
Come to Petrosian.
Put me on your list, I will like you again, you hipsters. Anyway, man, thanks a lot to Matt. Again, I'm Al Mancini. This is Top of the Food Chain. Next week, we're going to be talking champagne, sparkling wines. We're going to give you instructions on everything from how not to shoot somebody with the cork to what makes a champagne and what makes a sparkling wine. So that'll be next week on Top of the Food Chain. In the meantime, you can follow me, Al Mancini Vegas on Twitter. You can follow me on Facebook. And of course, almancini.net is my website. And it is Christmas time. And what fits into a stocking better, other than a stripper's leg? What fits into a stocking better than a stripper's leg is Eating Las Vegas, the 50 essential restaurants. Pick this bad boy up. You can get it over at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, $13 list price, but I think Amazon has it for 10. Order now because you're going to want to stuff some stockings with it. I'll be back next week with champagne. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, everyone in the audience. See ya.